I don't even remember last episode में क्या डिस्कस किया था हमने. What were we talking about?
तेरी ड्राइंग्स डिस्कस करे थे.
हाँ, पहले ड्राइंग का कुछ.
Actually, that made me think कि maybe we should do a thing where like somewhere we have a repository for each episode जिसमें उस episode के context से कोई images है. We can like put those images for each episode there, and
Like
like the listeners can take.
GitHub repository जिसमें can just.
Yes.
Uh,
uh,
it sounds like it's something that can just be resolved with this social media account.
I mean, even with social media account, yeah, as a listener, you would have to like go through that date, right? Like, how would you like organize it properly while using a social media account?
That's
कि हर एपिसोड का अपना easily access हो जाए उसके related images.
hmm, that's true.
and
Hmm.
and like कई बार ऐसे social media में you generally put कुछ like थोड़ा बहुत ऐसी ऐसी चीज डालता है जो उसका तो खुद सेल्फ उसका वो होता है इम्पोर्टेंस होता है, बट लाइक ऐसे हम कुछ कैजुअल चीज डिस्कस कर रहे हैं पॉडकास्ट में जो जिससे रिलेटेड तेरे को इमेज एक्सप्लेन करना है, सो यू वुडंट रियली पोस्ट इट ऑन योर सोशल मीडिया, राइट?
Do you
फॉर एग्जांपल कोई डायग्राम मेरे को कोई एक्सप्लेन करना है, सो आई we would put that in that repository, but it is not exactly something you would post on your social media.
do you think it would be just a simpler solution to instead whenever you want to do that instead just start a video podcast?
uh, like for now I don't think I have the system for it, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Because I feel that it's going to be more work than you are imagining right now.
Yes, it would be a lot of work. That made me think actually कि I don't know मेरा कितना busy होने वाला हूँ मैं जॉब स्टार्ट करने के बाद, and how it would affect our recordings,
I was
even
actually
though we do it on weekends. uh,
I was actually
बोल.
thinking that's what I was going to talk about. Okay, I was thinking if it would be possible to move the recordings to Friday. Just a thought. I don't think it. I'm not sure. I don't think it would be possible with your job, but because I personally want that because Saturday is the only free day I get in the week. Or
Actually
yeah.
TCS में सैटरडे को हॉलीडे नहीं होता है.
Uh, I mean, I honestly don't mind Sundays either. Sunday sounds better than even Sunday sounds better than Saturday. Because Sunday ko I will shift in the evening. But yeah, it would be nice to have a free day, entirely free day. Well, if तेरा Saturday off नहीं रहेगा?
I don't think so, as far as I remember कि Saturdays TCS में and like not even TCS, most service based companies में ऑफ नहीं रहता है.
That's fucked up.
And like even on work days, I read कि इसका जो वर्किंग आवर्स है वो सुबह 8:30 से 6:30 बजे तक रहता है, बट वो जनरली और रात तक स्ट्रेच हो जाता है, तो ऑलमोस्ट 12 आवर्स का पर डे वर्किंग रहता है वहाँ पे.
That's like crazy. Like, hmm. I mean, it just sounds like exploitation at that point. Because like that combined with mass hiring and
हाँ. like that is the biggest resource from India which we give to other countries. Like this bulk of engineers, quote unquote engineers, who are just like kind of slaves for the corporation, like cheap labor basically.
I guess there's like, I mean, yeah, that just sounds very exploitative, and it just seems like a good instance of how we do not have systems in place to prevent this.
Mhm. Anyways, you were saying you were thinking of moving to Linux.
I just like I have been getting tired of how cluttered Windows feels. It feels like it's too much. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
I don't know if I've used Linux like ever. like हमारे कॉलेज के laboratory में Ubuntu system था, I guess,
Hmm.
which honestly I was not a big fan of. I don't know,
Why
but like
didn't you
what's the
like it?
difference? Can you? I think उससे उसका कोई ये reason ऐसा खास नहीं था कि वो specific चीज पसंद नहीं थी, but I was so I used to Windows कि वो it only seemed like an inconvenience to like adapt to a new system, and like I did not find anything particularly advantageous while using Linux.
There's also this thing where I'm like developing a tendency over the years to use everything open source, and that's
Uh,
huh?
what what
Open
things do
source.
you use? Yeah, what things do you use which are open source?
कॉर्नर कर रहा है. I actually don't remember. अब तो ऐसे पूछ रहा है तो uh, I mean, like whenever I'm looking for a software and I have a choice between softwares, I usually would go for the open source one. क्योंकि
Yeah,
eh,
yeah, I can imagine it being comparatively better because of the community behind it, I guess.
more almost more reliable too, I guess. क्योंकि like बाकी cases में there's this one company that is in control of whatever it's going to look like in the future. And uh, there was a time, thoda, I mean, when I was getting the Steam Deck, I got a new Steam Deck.
Yes,
When
yes,
I was,
we'll talk about it.
so, like, when I was waiting for it, I was looking into like Steam की history वगैरह. That is a weirdly beloved company, Steam. Like,
Steam.
yeah, like it's seems like it's. I mean, it almost has a monopoly on the uh, game store market because like nobody really uses any other stores
Mhm.
uh, to purchase games, and it's very pro consumer. It's a private company and people really like the guy and the people in general who run that company. And when I was looking into that, there was a moment like a few years ago, a lot of years ago. That Microsoft uh, itself is heavily into gaming, right? It makes a lot of gaming products, Xbox, वगैरह. And
Wait, Xbox, Microsoft. I did
what
not
the
know
fuck
that.
would do?
I don't know these things.
Wait, really? You didn't? What?
I did not know.
Do you know that PlayStation is Sony?
Oh, I do know that.
Hmm. Well, that's a very weird thing to not know. And you are the guy who grew up with these consoles.
Yes.
uh, yeah. So, I mean, Game Pass वगैरह, and it has its own uh, incentives to try to push its own services. So there was a moment of crisis where it seemed like Microsoft is going to close down and like it's going to exclusively कुछ ऐसा था, I don't exactly remember, I'm just giving you a vague and thing I remember keep it's only going to let people purchase games from Microsoft store and like these and इस situation of crisis में Steam made its own OS, Linux based OS, which didn't get very popular, but uh, after a few years they released a Steam Deck. This one they used the same Steam OS and a version of it, and that's getting like really popular right now. Like and Linux में लोगों के साथ बस the only reason people do not use Linux is uh, probably that Windows got popular first, and
Mm,
uh, it's the default operating system, and people do not design that many softwares for Linux. And so there are workarounds for it, but there are workarounds to run Windows stuff on. But recently, more softwares have started to be developed for Linux too. That's been a nice thing. Yeah, another the good thing. I think they're called genomes. Linux is not just one operating system, right? One fixed operating. उसके काफी सारे genomes है, काफी सारे versions है, वो कैसे भी exist कर सकता है.
mm,
Oh, I recently moved away from Chrome to Firefox.
You showed कि तेरा वो एनिमेटेड कुछ ब्राउजर पे वो था सेक्शन था उसका.
Yeah, yeah.
ऑल्सो कुछ ऐसा भी था कि जो तेरी टैब्स है वो प्रॉपरली ग्रुप्ड रहेगी with context of what you were surfing or something.
मैंने vertical tabs use करने लगा
हाँ,
हूँ पहली
vertical
बार.
tabs.
Yeah, and they're weirdly, I didn't expect to like them. Like, but they weirdly fit the aspect ratio of the screen. क्योंकि after I got the vertical tabs, I realized कि the usual aspect ratio of uh, the browser is way too narrow. उसकी height बहुत
Hmm.
ज़्यादा कम होती है because of all the tabs and everything. This makes it like look more normal. But मैं क्या कह रहा था anyway? Yeah, I just I guess I want to also in a in an attempt to uh, show support, I guess, for the Linux operating systems. That's also a motivation for me, I guess. Like, if
You mentioned कि
uh,
हाँ, continue.
क्योंकि people aren't going to make software for Linux unless there's a market, there's a significant enough market for it, right? Uh, but हाँ तो क्या बोल रहे हैं?
I was asking कि what are the advantages of Linux over Windows?
I
First thing you said it is open source, okay, and You mentioned कि it is less cluttered than Windows. Like in what way?
It feels less cluttered. I don't know. I just encounter a lot of mm, like eh, I don't know. That's just a feeling I have. I think the
Mm.
cluttered thing. It's
What
I'm
else?
not sure. Huh? I've
What
only
else?
used Linux इसके पहले बस एक बार other than the Steam Deck. You remember मेरा पुराना laptop था? I
Mm,
was trying to set up a server, set it up as a server. तो उसमें मैंने Ubuntu install किया था to be able to uh, install Jellyfin in it. You remember what Jellyfin is? और जिससे मैं अपने movies और TV shows कहीं भी देख सकता हूँ. एक organized library में. Like I don't think that there's a good reason to move to Linux if I'm being honest. More than just
mm,
I want to move away from Windows.
mm. Okay. So, like,
Because they make a lot of
how?
like you don't get to have a say in whatever decisions they make regarding their thing. But to work.
How do you move to Linux? Like, do you just install the operating system or something?
Yeah, it's very simple. You just install it. You just need a
Like,
sacrificial pen drive. You download Linux into it and then you install it into your
mm,
computer. It's very simple. Takes 10 minutes.
you when you mentioned that Microsoft was trying to like make it so that you can only get like games from the Microsoft store,
Hmm.
uh, it reminded me ki, do you remember how the Play Store used to be as opposed to it is now? I
Hmm.
personally found a big change in like Google Play Store over time. स्टार्टिंग में कितने सारे गेम्स हुआ करते थे, कितने अच्छे अच्छे क्रिएटिव विदाउट एनी एड्स. अब पूरा एकदम ही वेस्टलैंड बन चुका है वो. Nobody uses Google Play Store like for games and applications just because. पहली बात तो आई थिंक बहुत सारे ऐप्स उन्होंने रिमूव कर दिए पुराने जो अच्छे अच्छे थे फॉर सम रीजन.
What?
Yeah, like over time, I think ऐसा उनकी कोई पॉलिसी रही होगी कि you have to follow certain
Like,
like give certain commission to Play Store. I don't know क्या रीजन था उसका या कुछ क्या था, but बहुत सारे उसके पुराने गेम्स जो Play Store में थे वो नहीं है अब वहाँ पे.
I mean,
Like
there's a
most of the
standard 30% cut uh, and like
uh,
any store, I think, like from like that's the standard of all the stores that exist from Steam to App Store to Play Store. But yeah, तो तू क्या कह रहा है कि it's become a waste? What kind of apps got removed?
मेरे को याद है जैसे एक वो बाइक वाला गेम होता था जिसमें you like change lanes and you have to avoid traffic and your bike gets increasingly faster.
I mean, उसमें ऐसा क्या था? What are you saying कि उसमें ऐसा क्या था कि वो हट गया?
I don't know, कुछ नहीं था, वो एक अच्छा गेम था, एक like it was a good game
Do,
and but it's no longer there.
don't you think it's more likely that बनाने वालों ने उसे सपोर्ट करना बंद कर दिया
नहीं तो okay, even if they start like stopped supporting it, why would it get removed from the Play Store?
क्योंकि ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम अपडेट होता रहता है
So like will they have to update the game every time there is an upgrade to operating system?
yeah I think so
I guess that might be a reason. And like there are just way more ads than there used to be in general applications.
I've noticed this trend in tech recently, like uh, with the whole internet bubble, we developed a like I'm taking this from another tech podcast I listened to or something. They talked about how we developed a very bad habit of uh, getting stuff for free on the internet, and like at the cost of our data, and now we have a problem with our data being shared either other, and
Mm.
like all the services that exist right now are based on that model. They are free, you can use them for free, मगर they sell their data, they sell your data उसके exchange में for advertising, and people don't like. I personally have, I mean, haven't been bothered by it. I would, yeah, I think that I've not thought enough about it to be bothered by it or find it creepy. Okay, a lot of people find it really weird and creepy and they don't like it. I might be missing something. So, but yeah, a lot of people don't like that. So recently, there have been more uh, an a rise in services that people pay for, like search engines that you can pay for and stuff like that.
But uh, I remember कि बहुत सारे ऐसे games होते थे though which were not made to like made for commercial purposes. They were just made like for the to express their creativity and stuff. I no longer see those types of games like ever on the Play Store.
That might also.
Especially the
Mhm.
हाँ, वो escape room type के games I particularly remember बहुत सारे होते थे which like they were clearly low effort but just it was somebody just trying to create a fun game as a project or something.
There was definitely a time a few years ago when the idea of making your own app sounded more appealing than it does now. I don't know what sounds appealing now. So I am inclined to think that it might have been a part of a bubble job where people would try making games and apps and think that they could make some money off of it. And they gradually realize that it's not that easy. Mm.
Speaking of applications, I am getting a new phone tomorrow.
What phone did you decide on?
uh, it's called Poco X7 Pro.
Poco.
It
Mm.
Yeah, it's a company I had never heard about, but once I started researching about phones, it seemed like अभी mid-range phones में उनके अच्छे phones हैं. So I ordered it. It will arrive tomorrow, I think.
Like I heard of Poco a few years ago. तब से मैंने सुना नहीं है. What you wanted when you were discussing it with us? You wanted a really cheap phone you could just, because you don't want anything in a phone other than utility. You don't even want a camera. How much did you end up
हाँ, like
spending on it?
it is like इसका कैमरा उतना अच्छा नहीं है, but something I which I did want कि अभी के जितने भी applications है जो currently use होता है, they
Hmm.
should all run smoothly on it. and like it should have a long life. Uh, like I can at least use it to 5 to 6 years
I
without
think
any
that
trouble.
depends more on the promise the company makes क्योंकि अलग-अलग companies make different promises regarding वो कितने साल तक update करेंगे अपने operating system को.
I think this
अभी
one,
तक का
yeah,
standard
yeah,
2 साल का था. I think 3 साल हो गया वो है. हाँ.
हाँ हाँ, इस ये फोन का भी आई थिंक 3 साल का उन्होंने प्रॉमिस करा है ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम एंड्रॉइड अपडेट्स.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, so like this
हाँ.
phone, huh?
Yeah.
This phone cost 28,000.
Oh, that's more expensive than I was
Yeah,
expecting you to buy. Nice, nice.
yeah.
In that case, it would have a decent camera, I guess. Like,
I guess like it would surely be better than my current camera,
selfies
but like
भेजेगा उद्धू.
that phone is like not known for its camera, but like it has a good processor and storage utilization and good battery. Like I can expect it to run all the applications which are currently out there.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So तू बता अपने स्टीम डेक के बारे में. You are quite eager to talk about it, I suppose.
तो मैंने पिछले सैटरडे दारू पी के स्टीम डेक खरीद लिया था.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll tell you the agony about the agony. Uh, जब से यहाँ पे आया हूँ, like, uh, I have had this like हर महीने मेरा किसी पॉइंट पर ये बैक एंड फोर्थ आता है, should I buy a Steam Deck or not, should I buy, and that was really agonizing. मैं एक रैंडम रात को किसी भी एक रैंडम रात को 1-2 घंटे तक मैं बार बार वेबसाइट्स पे जाके देखता रहता हूँ, and like it's like 3 clicks to buy a Steam Deck, like 3 clicks, 3 simple clicks, and you will not believe me when I tell you the amount of times मैं बस 2 क्लिक्स करके रह गया हूँ.
Hmm.
That was the reason I wanted a Steam Deck. पहले तू मुझे ये बता. Is that something that sounds appealing to you?
I am not sure because I the most important thing while playing any game to me is to like have full control, and I generally have not like light controllers. There's a PlayStation, Xbox, or any controllers. I prefer using mouse and keyboard. So uh, I would not prefer playing on a Steam. Like this Steam Deck kabhi it is similar to a controller, right? So
Yeah.
I would not prefer playing on that over mouse and keyboard.
The purpose of buying a Steam Deck for me was the convenience. Like, because you look at a device like that and you know that it's not made for hardcore gaming. I mean, it's a
Mm.
handheld device. It's made for convenience. And I have been like, I want to play more video games. Uh, but like पीसी के सामने बैठ के गेम खोल के just to play that, dedicate that time to play games. I don't know why I'm not able to do that. I don't feel good about that. But
Mm.
with that device, I feel, huh?
You mentioned that. I think I can relate it in terms of media. Ki at some point I stopped watching anime,
Hmm.
but I did continue to read manga just because of that same convenience. I can like open up manga on my phone at anywhere, read few pages, and like I don't have to dedicate like time as I have to dedicate time to watch an anime.
Like it feels like you have to make a setup of set a mood for this or something, and you
Yes,
like
yes. I can relate to
मुझे
it
बस
pretty
बिस्तर पे
much.
पड़े पड़े खोलना है, 20-30 मिनट खेलना है एंड रख देना है, क्योंकि अगर मैं लैपटॉप पे कोई गेम खोल रहा हूँ, मैं कभी भी इस माइंडसेट से नहीं खोलूंगा कि मैं बस 20 मिनट के लिए खोल रहा हूँ. लाइक लाइक
Mm.
and yeah, like I feel that I'll be able to play more games on a device like that and explore more games. अभी मैं कुछ दिन से पिछले यही कोशिश कर रहा हूँ to set up the emulation in it properly ताकि मैं
Have you played any games?
yeah पहले तो I played एक Steam का yeah Steam Valve का एक game है which is set in the Portal world. I think it's called Desk Job, which is
Oh,
supposed to like be educational about how to use the Steam Deck. I've played that. उस,
uh-huh.
उसके अलावा I played a little bit of this horror game that I've been playing. मैंने लैपटॉप पे शुरू किया था खेलना उसे. I forget its name. Wait, let me look it up. It's a Taiwanese horror game. It's I will talk more about it when I'm done playing it. एक minute, I'm looking into what it's called. Steam को खुलने में इतनी देर क्यों लगती है? Hmm. Detention.
Oh, wait. What? Have I seen this game? Sounds familiar.
Yeah, seems like a really well-made indie horror game, and like it's surreal and uh, unexpectedly political.
Maybe I remember this cover. Have
Oh,
I played this? Like, watched it? I know. I don't think I have. But I think like I watched its thumbnail or something.
that's
Uh,
possible.
it seems like a game like which I would watch the gameplay for.
उसके अलावा, I guess while you're at it, you can also Google Gato Roboto that I played. This is a game जो मैं पहले खेल चुका हूँ on my laptop, but I did not finish it. I like I was I think I was stuck at a
Oh
place and
yeah,
फिर मैंने I just didn't
I
continue it. Well, it
yeah
feels
I
like
have seen
huh.
the gameplay of this game.
Oh,
Yeah, yes. Continue. Uh,
like so like this feels like a game designed for a device like Steam Deck.
mm, yeah.
So yeah, it's अभी तक these are the games. Oh, also I guess this is I also started playing Guilty Gear XX Accent Core.
Wait, isn't Guilty Gear an anime?
I don't know if it's an anime, but it's an anime fighter. uh, ये Steam पर $3 का मिल रहा था and Vidhu suggested I buy it. I bought it and we have been playing it together. And Uddu, let me tell you, this is I don't have a lot of experience with fighters, but this is the best fighter I've played until now.
Oh, even better than Street Fighter.
I mean, Street Fighter has a different appeal. it's supposed to be this really balanced game, I guess. This uh, meant for nah, perfect for competitions, वगैरह. But a game like Guilty Gear, uh, that is way more chaotic and more interesting than that. There's just so many amazing characters, isn't and
It mm,
it's really fun. And like one of the things also that seems to differentiate it from a game like Street Fighter is that it has these characters have these weird moves which allow it to almost be way more strategic compared to other fighters. Like you have to strategize ahead of time and stuff like that. Like there's this character I like playing. I don't remember her name, but she has this yo-yo as a weapon, and with one of her moves, वो कहीं पे भी ऐसे आप अपना यो-यो छोड़ देती है हवा में कहीं, and फिर वो वहीं रहता है, and at any point in
oh,
the game you can call it towards you at a single press of a button, एंड उस योयो के बीच में और तुम्हारे बीच में की उस trajectory में अगर there's your opponent, they would get damaged.
oh, mm,
It's a really cool game like that. Uh, yeah. I mean, hmm. That's pretty
nice,
much all the
nice.
games. Also like uh, tried that a game called Humaniki. I don't have much to say about it right now. So let's leave that for now. मगर हाँ मेरी जान निकल रही है उसमें एम्यूलेशन सेटअप करने में, पर एक बार हो गया तो इट विल बी सिंपल.
Okay, should we talk about the media we consume?
तू बता, मैंने गेम्स बताया तुझे मैंने जो खेले.
Mm. Yeah, so I guess in terms of movies, I only watched that Byomkesh Bakshi, which we watched together.
या हम दोनों ने वो फिल्म देखी साथ में.
Uh,
How did you like it?
yeah, as I mentioned, I had already watched that film before, and I really liked that movie. Uh, Even though I think दोनों time देखने पे I did not follow it completely, uh, but still, uh, I like the direction of how they handled a detective movie, which I had never watched in Bollywood at least. Like even in Hollywood, I don't remember many movies which were like detective based. So the ones I can think of was like Seven. It was a murder mystery.
That's a very
Or
different kind of film, like, and like that's
uh,
less of a, that's more noir than a fun detective film.
uh, I also watched a movie which whose name I don't remember, but उसमें होता ये है कि like the police have a suspect and they interrogate that suspect like in a वो पुलिस का जो पुलिस स्टेशन होता है वहां पे, and while the police is interrogating that person, उनके पीछे बैकग्राउंड में जो जो पोस्टर्स है जो भी स्टिकी नोट्स वगैरह लगे रहते हैं वो उस में से देख देख के अपनी एक पूरी स्टोरी बिल्डअप करता है टू टेल द कॉप्स. like उसका यूज करके वो ऐसे पूरी स्टोरी बिल्डअप करता है, एंड दे लेट हिम गो, एंड दैट्स हाउ ही गेट्स अवे फ्रॉम द कॉप्स. द होल मूवी revolves around that. I don't remember वो मूवी का क्या नाम है, but it was a really fun movie.
Hmm. There are a bunch of fun detective films. If you ever want to watch them. You did say you've been feeling like
Mm.
that. Specifically, Byomkesh Bakshi. I told you I watched uh, the 90s Doordarshan wala show. Then I watched this, and like it is a very unique take on the show. It's way more gory, uh, way more sexy, and delves into those taboo, more it treads that line. Or
Mhm.
there's this, and like I really liked the music and the film, and it was a very unique choice for the kind of film it was, and it was a
Mm.
very stylish film, uh, stylish
There
music.
was a lot of metal in it, right? Metal songs, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, metal and rock, and it was really good. उसकी एल्बम मैंने सुन ली 3 4 बार.
Oh,
Yeah.
he recommended me that Kendrick Lamar, uh, पूरा उसका
Discography.
albums,
Yeah.
and it's the first album I listened to,
Hmm.
but I listened to while working, and I could not keep up with क्या lyrics चल रहे, क्या बोल रहे हैं वो.
Hmm.
I think like you know that I only listen to music which does not have lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Generally, I think okay, I will have to listen to it ऐसा अलग से time निकाल के,
Yeah.
and like read the lyrics as like along
तूने
how when I am listening to it.
तूने एक बार सुन लिया है ना. I think
Yes.
I'll recommend इस point पर जो second वाली link है जो मैंने optional mention करी हुई है ना उस document में. I
हाँ.
recommend you watch that video and then go back
Oh,
to the album. Then I think you'll be able to grab उसमें verses more conveniently.
okay, okay. I'll do that.
Yeah. So yeah, उसके अलावा I watched a short film, this 40 minutes kind of short film, A Bag Full of Fleas. And it's uh, I don't remember where this film is from, but it's by uh, uh, woman filmmaker. So it's made in 1962. It was one of her early films, and it uh, portrays the life of these girls in a girls' hostel, and it's a very exploratory look at girlhood in general, and I personally found it to be a really beautiful representation of girlhood, and you don't realize how different it is from uh, boyhood or manhood uh, until you start looking into it.
So what did the movie or the short film portray in context of girlhood?
I mean, it's mostly in how they interact. If I'll give you a general overview of how it goes, it's the entire film is shot from the POV of this new girl who doesn't even speak. She's just looking at all the other girls. So like we're just looking through her eyes, and one of the girls she's looking at always ends up getting in trouble, and it's a very punk film in that sense too. Not the music, but its attitude. He, there are all these adults around them uh, who always want to like to a degree they sound they like they are well meaning. They just want the girls to operate in a certain way which they think is ultimately good for them, and the girls and themselves to keep it easier to manage it like that. And it's I've always found the exploration of rebellion, adolescent rebellion, interesting in media. क्योंकि,
Have you watched that
uh,
movie called Boyhood?
I have when I was really small.
I watched it with my uncle. Yeah, it was a fun movie.
I think I might have watched it because you recommended it to me.
Uh,
I'm not
mhm.
sure though. Yeah, that film has a gimmick, right? Uh, it's the same actors growing older.
Uh,
Yeah. Mm. Uh, yeah, I don't remember much about that film. But yeah, that's a bag full of fleas. What?
I guess I'll talk about uh, Coffin of Ende and Lele.
What's that?
I have talked about it in a previous podcast. उसका जब first part निकला. This is a video game whose gameplay I watched a long time ago.
Hmm.
Not a long time ago, I guess कुछ एक साल पहले. But uh, I really liked it when it was released. It was about uh, it is a horror game, I guess, and it involves cannibalism and murder. But the story is not about that. Like that is a part of it, but the main focus of this game are the two characters, the two protagonists, and uh, how their character, like we basically delve into their characters and like their backstory, and that the whole game revolves about that in an artistic way. So, uh, like to give you an idea, there are these two siblings, Andrew and Ashley, like who have their nicknames as Andy and Lele, and they have uh, abusive parents. Like their mother is quite like uh, particularly abusive, and their father would just follow her orders, kind of like he's very significant in the family, and like it is a lot in a lot of ways it is also symbolic. So like for each character there is a sprite, like it is kind of in a visual novel kind of setup, but the father does not have a sprite, like which kind of symbolizes that the father does not have a place in the family. Yeah. So yeah, so they have abusive parents, and because of that, so there are these two twins, right, Andrew and Ashley, and Ashley is quite violent and like psychopathic in a sense, like
Like in a
She
cutesy sense.
No, not in a cutesy sense. Like
Uh,
she's legitimately psychopathic. She does not feel empathy at all for
Is it?
people.
It's a visual novel, right?
Not entirely a visual novel. A huge part of it is, but like there is also Undertale kind of gameplay. Like the way Undertale works, right? Ki Undertale it is kind of visual novel, like the text and the sprites, but other part of it is like a 2D world kind of a setup.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, so the Ashley is completely she completely lacks what's the word? Empathy. And Andrew, her twin brother, has to take care of her younger sister. So like her mother is abusive, so she like puts the full responsibility of taking care of Ashley to Andrew. So even as a child, he has to like क्या बोलते हैं उसको जो पेरेंट का काम होता है अपने बच्चे को रेज करना सो ही इज बेसिकली रेजिंग her younger sister because their parents can't be bothered to pay attention to their daughter.
This
uh,
reminds me of that manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto I read. You remember me telling you about it? Sort of. Wait a minute. Looking for it. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you go on. दिया तो बताता
mhm. So as we follow कि जैसे उसकी जो उनकी जो मदर रहती है उनका नाम क्या रहता है रीनी रहता है आई थिंक रीनी तो like she's usually the head of the family and she would give commands to what to do and what not to do and she would scheme things and their father would just quietly follow and he has like you can see that his father has totally given up on resisting or having a say. He just follows whatever his wife asks of him and we can see that develop slowly between the relationship of Andy and I mean yeah Ashley and Andrew as well कि जो Ashley है वो command करेगी Andrew को and like at first Andrew tries to resist but like he has to make a choice either he uh, resists or he has to like give in like his father. So like there is actually two parts like the जो part two है जो first part था उसका जो second part है it depends on वो जो उसकी पूरी एंटायर स्टोरी है वो डिपेंड करती है कि तुमने फर्स्ट पार्ट के एंड में कौन सा पार्ट चूज करा था आइदर यू फाइट बैक और यू गिव इन और वो दोनों उस चॉइस से पूरी आगे की स्टोरी पूरी चेंज हो जाती है उससे सो लाइक दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ इट बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट द इन द फर्स्ट पार्ट यू थिंक कि ठीक है द एशली इज a psychopath and Andrew is a victim. Like you feel bad for Andrew. He has to keep up with his sister and like even he has to commit murder to keep themselves and alive but like Ashley kind of she never commits the murder herself he asks her brother or basically manipulates her brother into committing the crimes so she can guilt trip him later and like kind of what an abuser does basically
Hmm. Wait,
so like
why
you
why
feel
is
bad
the
for
murder? Why is he committing murders again?
बेसिकली होता है कि जो उनके पेरेंट्स होते हैं वो उनको एक जगह पे दे देते हैं एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को कोट ऑन कोट जो ऑन पेपर ऐसा बोल देते हैं कि उनको कोई इन्फेक्शन है जिसके लिए उनको क्वारंटीन करा गया बट दे आर एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू सेल देयर ऑर्गन्स फॉर मनी
Hmm.
तो उनके पेरेंट्स उसके लिए दे देते हैं बोथ ऑफ देयर किड्स फॉर दैट but they have to escape from there right so like they have to kill people in order to survive and like run away.
Hmm.
and also they did not have any food, so the people they killed, they eat them, they cook them and eat them.
Okay. Hmm.
But Ashley never kills. She manipulates her brother into doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and like constantly keeps guilt tripping her brother, and like kind of gaslighting him कि he is the evil person and she is not the culprit and all. Like uh, Ashley does not feel any kind of guilt in killing people. Andrew does. So like she uses that to her advantage, kind of. But anyways, what was I saying? So there is this mechanic. The way they kill people, like at least in the beginning, is that they find a book in which has a guide into summoning a demon, and they can sell like any person's soul which is present in that summoning circle to the demon, and in exchange the demon gives them uh, like a glimpse of the future, and they can change that future. So that's what they do, like they summon the demon and they give the soul of their neighbor to the demon, and in exchange of that they can like get a glimpse, like it is kind of like Mirai Nikki, you remember that anime? uh,
Hmm.
yeah, it will.
Hmm.
What?
That was a really weird anime.
Yeah, so like they not they actually, Ashley has the talisman which gives her the vision of future. Yeah, so that's the gimmick. But the main interesting part of it is in the first part, you like sympathize with Andrew and think that Ashley is the bad person. But in the second part, which released recently, which I'm talking about now, is that you slowly realize that Andrew is actually just as bad as his younger sister Ashley,
Oh.
and that is because, like in the first part, like we are made to think कि दोनों मतलब Ashley बुरी है, because when the demon is summoned, he refers to Ashley as tar soul, like a soul made of tar, and he refers to Andrew as grime soul, like which is like slightly bad, but not as bad as his sister, right?
Hmm.
But in the second part, we find out कि वो जो tar soul and grime soul है, those are not actually not the description of the soul themselves, like the how the souls are. That is just how the souls perceive themselves. They take that form. So like Ashley sees herself as a really like morally bad person. So that's why her soul is made of tar. And Andrew does not feel that bad about himself. That's why his soul is like made of seem to look like a grime soul, but that does not mean that
Ah,
they are actually a tar soul, like
that's
like
a
that.
really interesting idea. He like, yeah, like, but like that's a very clever way to explore those themes of how people perceive themselves. That's it. Sounds really good.
Yeah, and also you try like notice something that whenever uh, they are in trouble and Andrew has to kill someone, Andrew never thinks he is doing something wrong to the other person. What he's actually concerned about the consequences it will bring. Like he's a quite a calculating person, and he tries to calculate कि इसके क्या consequences आएंगे, पुलिस कैसे पीछे पड़ेगी, what they will have to do to avoid the police, what they will have to do to deal with the demon which they summoned and everything. But he actually never feels bad for killing anyone, and it gets more clear in the second part when he kills a child,
Have you
murders a child to get away from the police, huh?
have you ever felt personally very uh, conflicted about what guilt means to you? Because I have personally thought about it a lot, and I like still don't have the answers. Okay, the idea that is guilt for me just the fear of getting caught.
That is, yeah, that's an interesting thought.
It's a horrifying thought.
Yeah, that's exactly what's explored in this game. Uh, okay, like the first we thought ki Andrew feels really guilty and about killing people, but we slowly find out that he's not actually concerned about the people he killed. He's just concerned about himself, like getting caught by the police or like
Hmm.
uh, that thing. And an interesting thing happens in the in part two, which is like in the first part we see कि Ashley is trying to manipulate Andrew and his she is controlling him. But like I told you, right, the demon gives her the ability to see the future in exchange of souls.
Hmm.
So in the at the end of part one, Ashley gets a vision in which Andrew slices her throat, like kills his own younger sister. She sees that in her vision.
Hmm.
Okay, like she's killed by her older brother, and she's terrified by that vision. So, like the person we saw in the first part who was so apathetic and like controlling and manipulative is suddenly like she has a shift in her personality because she's for the first time actually worried about her own skin
Hmm.
and uh, like she's trying to control Andrew more than ever. बट शी लाइक स्लोली रियलाइजेस कि एंड्रयू का खुद का वो नेचर चेंज होता है कि ही स्लोली रियलाइजेस हिमसेल्फ कि जो एशली उसकी शी इज बीन ट्राइंग टू कंट्रोल हिम एंड he tries to break away from that because okay, in the first part they actually get back to their parents, they kill them and they eat them. They don't
Yeah.
and like the Andrew sees that कि जो उसके father है they had like completely gave in to their mother, like to the demands of their mother, and he was basically a coward. He had no say in the family and he did not want to become like his father, so like he starts protesting and kind of going against what Ashley asks him to do. uh, So like in the part two, Ashley is trying to like trying desperately for to control Andrew. But now the interesting thing is what Andrew does is making Ashley more paranoid than like whatever he does is only makes Ashley more paranoid because even if he like acts friendly or like he's understand she tells Andrew that she saw the vision in which he kills her. So Andrew tries to like act like he's understanding and he would not kill her and he's loving, but it only makes Ashley doubt him even more. Ki maybe he's just acting and trying to find the right opportunity to like snap and kill her. So yeah, that's a cool gimmick they have going on in part two.
Oh, like how many parts are there?
I don't know how many parts they're going to be because like I even have
So
not
like
finished
parts are
watching.
separate games?
No,
एक ही
it
game
like
में.
हाँ, it's kind of like Delta Rune कि जैसे उसके chapters निकलता है and the story continues
Right?
वैसे ही है.
Is it like a downloadable content thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
Uh,
Interesting.
yeah. I really like this game a lot because first of all I really missed games which were actually immersive. अभी के जो games आ रहे हैं they for some reason do not feel immersive at all to me. Like truly immersive कि you feel like the characters are actually alive and have a personality.
You know what I find funny about this? Don't even
What?
play the games.
Yeah.
I mean, what like you feel that games are more being made more for like fun?
Yeah, like you can see that in Genshin. In the beginning, it was somewhat immersive, but over time, they get more and more less focused on immersion and more on the gameplay and like the things other than immersion,
Hmm.
I guess. And I guess that's what made Zelda so lovable for me, I guess, because it was also quite immersive.
Hmm. तो फाइनली अभी मैंने वी का एमुलेटर भी इंस्टॉल किया था
Uh,
बाय uh, wow.
yeah.
That sounds like an interesting game.
And in part two, we explore a lot of their childhood, like how being raised in an abusive family kinds of make you apathetic over time. Like it's not something you are born apathetic. That does not happen. It like slowly builds up to you. Wo abusive nature. Like they are basically start to become like their parents over time.
I can imagine that like uh, if you're being shit on, if you have consequences for like literally everything, you uh, get numb to consequences. Uh, eh, we didn't play any new board games, right?
Uh, Not any new one. No.
Hmm. I was uh, thinking of telling you about the podcast I've been listening to because I started listening to podcasts कुछ साल पहले sort of as a way to deal with anxiety. You keep having a podcast run in the background, especially when I was going to sleep. That was really nice. And more recently, I've been using it at work. अपने बालों के नीचे ईयरफोन्स छुपा के
Mhm.
एंड पहले आई यूज्ड टू ओनली लिसन टू एक दो पॉडकास्ट फिर वो खत्म हो गई मैंने और कोई पॉडकास्ट ढूंढी बट नाउ आई एम रियलाइजिंग कि आई एम सॉर्ट ऑफ gradually becoming one of those podcast heads who listen to a lot of variety of podcasts. It's
What?
uh, one of the first podcasts I ever listened to was Let's Fight a Boss, which is sort of a video game podcast that discuss media in general. Uh, it has ended now, yeah, but that was a huge inspiration for me when I was starting this podcast. There was three friends discussing their media and sometimes their life. Uh, have you heard of the guy Super Eye Patch Wolf, the YouTuber?
No.
He's a video essayist. It was his podcast. Uh, Along with that, I also listen to, I would laugh to sometime, 99% Invisible, which is sort of a design architecture podcast. And it's such a cool name for a design podcast.
99%?
Invisible.
I don't get it.
Like, uh, good design and architecture usually, the greatest design and architecture usually exists where you barely even notice it. That's the
Oh,
idea. It's a really good podcast, although I do not listen to it as much as I would like to. Let's Fight of Boss खत्म कर दिया उसके बाद I was looking for the other podcast. I started listening to Reply All, which was unfortunately another podcast which had already ended. Uh, these people discussed internet culture and solved internet related problems that their audience might have. That was a really fun podcast to listen to. Sort of kind of felt like investigative journalism, fun kind of.
what did they discuss, like in terms of internet culture?
Uh, like for example, like there's this really crazy episode where they're exploring the scam callers, and one of these guys, like it has two hosts, PJ Vogt and Alex Goldman. And Alex Goldman is the one who's usually dealing with the more techie problems. Uh,
Mm,
so this guy decided to investigate Indian scam callers, वगैरह.
mm.
It was a two-parter. दो episodes released हुए थे इसके, which was exciting. And this guy starts almost romanticizing about this random guy he talks to over call to talk about this. And then, like, first episode के end में, I don't exactly remember how it goes, but yeah, it कुछ होता है, and he sets up a meeting, and at the end of the first episode he decides to fly to India to talk to this
What?
guy. Then the second episode is set in India. And that's
Like
crazy
that
too.
that guy is actually the scammer he's talking to.
Yeah, like working at the scam company, and it's really weird. uh, this guy gets threatened, he gets called to a restaurant, and वहाँ पर it's some intimidating people show up and stuff. It's a really crazy episode.
Uh,
So, and there are like very simple episodes and which are really fun too. Like uh, there was this, like, one of the most popular episodes of the show. I think one of the most beloved episodes. This where a guy calls in to the podcast. He has had this song stuck in his head for years, and he cannot. He's looked into it a lot and he cannot find it. He's even tried to make a, like, with just his mouth, he has just with his vocals, he has tried to recreate what he remembers. With धीरे धीरे करके he tries. But in this episode, PJ, he comes to PJ Vote for it, and PJ Vote gets a band together to recreate that music exactly as it is, and they do that. They're able to do that, and in the end also able to find out what where that was from. But yeah, then even like broader internet culture thing, is to just I don't know if you've heard of, I forgot what they're called. Uh, hmm. But yeah, you get the idea, right? But they get disbanded after that. उसके अलावा uh, they they started their own podcast too. There's the search engine podcast that PJ Vote started after this ended, and it's not honestly as fun. Okay, part of the fun was in that podcast was the chemistry. A tech podcast I've recently started listening to. I think I even shared a clip of that to you. It's Hard Fork, uh, which is fun. Ooh, I also started listening. Abhi, since I've started working, I also started listening to this sort of a political podcast called 5 to 4. It's a bunch of former lawyers uh, talking about how the Supreme Court sucks. Like,
Like American Supreme Court
yeah,
or Indian Supreme Court?
American. Okay, uh, I mean, they go over all the shitty decisions they have made in the past. As in the latest episode I listened to was machine guns are banned in America. You cannot, like, civilians cannot buy it, right?
Uh,
So some dude designed a device or something through which they could, yeah, with which they could like almost convert a regular gun into a machine gun because with the help of a recoil assist, basically sort of like an attachment.
mm,
It essentially becomes a machine gun, and that was taken to court, to Supreme Court eventually, and they ruled that this does not qualify as a machine gun based on some technicality. So basically stuff like that. It's fun to listen to. Another,
Speaking,
huh? Bro.
हाँ बोल 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 बोल
I was
नहीं नहीं
going,
तू बोल.
I was going to move on. Did you have something related to that?
Speaking of politics,
तो क्या हुआ भाई?
uh, अभी अभी ट्रम्प ने टैरिफ्स लगा दिए पूरे वर्ल्ड में
Yeah.
बड़े बड़े.
Hmm. That,
पूरा स्टॉक मार्केट गिर गया नीचे.
that guy is crazy. वो सुबह उठ के उसका जब जो मन करता है वो कर देता है वो.
And the only country which retaliated was China, and they put their own tariffs, and then the America increased their tariffs on China, and then China increased in turn. ऐसे ही चलते जा रहा है. अभी कितने 100% के ऊपर जा चुका है, राइट, दोनों के tariffs.
I am not keeping up with that. But the funniest thing was कि Nintendo Switch 2 launch हुआ. उस at उसके ठीक बाद इस आदमी ने टैरिफ्स लगा दिए. इतने टैरिफ्स हर कंट्री पे. अगले दिन Nintendo announces कि we are delaying the release of Switch 2, and people got so pissed off at that. Because that's, I guess, one easy, it's easy to look at one thing like that and like s- simplify that issue into one, how it's affecting one object that people care about.
आई मीन बट उसकी अगले दिन फिर ट्रम्प ने टैरिफ बाकी कंट्री से हटा दिए, नॉट हटाए बट 9 दिन के लिए डिले कर दिया।
No, 90 days, I think. Yeah.
हाँ। एंड व्हाट डू यू नो व्हाट द क्रेजियस्ट थिंग इज
Hmm.
कि वो 90 डे का डिले करने के पहले ट्रम्प अनाउंसेस दैट इट्स अ गुड टाइम टू बाय स्टॉक्स एंड
Yeah.
देन ही announces कि वो 90 डे के लिए डिले कर रहा है एंड द स्टॉक मार्केट गोes up and you can clearly see in the stock market chart कि inside the White House he had already told them to buy the stocks जितने बड़ी companies थी they bought the stocks even before he announced and then he announced basically he's manipulating the stock market for his own
This
profit
this is
blatantly.
this is considered straight up theft. This is not legal. What
Yes,
he is doing.
yes.
Like, I mean, honestly, like I would have been surprised by it if he had not pulled the meme coin thing as soon as he became the president. It's
I mean, he is doing everything in his power to make as much money as he can blatantly without any
another
repercussions.
another scary sort of thing is that he is getting like taking control of corporations, sort of like uh basically how they function with like when he announced these tariffs, he was like he's willing to make some exceptions for certain companies, and like basically what he's saying at that point is that whatever company is going to succumb to me is going to still be able to sustain itself, which is
Huh. Like he even said something after the tariffs, right? Ki the countries were begging him to like lower the tariffs and like something along the lines of please sir, please lower the tariff or something. कि countries उसे request कर रहे हैं
that guy is
and like
such
he's
an
the king of the world. Yeah.
that guy is such a narcissist. I mean,
And the even more weird thing is कि उसकी proper following है अमेरिका में इतने पूरे इतना बड़ा proportion population का. How does that even happen?
primarily because of the incompetence of the opposition party. Because like he promises things to people, and the way I look at it, this might be a childish way to look at it, maybe like my inexperience, but I feel that the way people look at it is kind of like buying a new phone almost when they're choosing a president. He, phones are always trying to grab attention with like new technology and stuff, like whatever seems the most uh, innovative and like weird almost. It seems to bring some degree of shift. People have a tendency to like it, and like there's no denying that Trump is also a pretty charismatic person. Yeah, as he is. Um,
Like he actively does insane stuff, which kind of gives him publicity. And like even though it's bad publicity, it's some kind of publicity, and which
I mean,
works in
like
his favor, I guess.
uh, the criticisms of Democrats, which is the opposing party, is that they're always trying to maintain a status quo. They almost don't have any beliefs of their own. They're just trying to be moderate. They're trying to please everyone, like including the voters of Trump. And उस कोशिश में they lose everyone. Like they,
Okay, like go on.
yeah, like yeah, this is what people have been talking about. That they just need to develop a spine. They're like always trying to make compromises, वगैरह. That party and like not. Hmm,
Like what I was talking about is there is one thing ki you trump for vote. That is one thing. But supporting that guy, like supporting in the sense ki seeing him as a good leader, that's what concerns me more.
like
Ki
if someone tells you with enough charisma something, I don't find it that surprising that people would believe it to be true. I mean, that guy is a blatant liar. Everybody knows that. But for a lot of people, uh, enough charisma makes anything true. Like,
if it was a small cult, I can understand that we are talking about like a whole country, a major portion of that big of a country,
yeah,
and adults at that. Like they're not even children; they are adults who are like kind of doing a cult following of Trump.
yeah, it's surprising. Like I feel that he sort of, uh, during these elections, he uh, took certain chances by going full crazy, and it worked out for him. Like, he had very extremist positions, and uh, like a bunch of voters are also Christians, which who tend to like the way Hindus tend to favor Modi, Christians tend to favor Trump. But yeah,
तेरा कितने टाइम का स्टे बचा है वहां पे?
एक साल और है भाई.
Good luck with that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you shared that screenshot. eh, One of your colleagues, not colleagues, college mates
Yeah. The
got.
department, like they uska visa got cancelled, but अगले दिन we got another email from the department addressing this. Like some students might have emailed them about it कि क्या हुआ ये, and they said कि it didn't have anything to do with the this situation. It wasn't related to the university or education or anything. It was related to something that happened outside the state. I don't know.
uh,
But I mean, there's no denying that it has been an issue of people carelessly being sent back to their countries. And there have been constant emails from the university to like, if you ever encounter situations like this, these are the places you can go for support, like in the university. Uh,
have there been any protests in your college?
I'm not, not that I've noticed.
Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
like, or not even any discussions or anything?
I wouldn't be a part of it. That sounds more like an undergrad thing, I guess, or even like people who are just within the community of people who actually are from here. यहाँ पे foreigners are getting sent back just for taking part in protests. I think a woman just wrote an article or something and she got her visa cancelled for that.
What proportion of the students are like foreign,
A lot.
international
I don't
students?
remember, but it's a lot. I don't remember exactly. Oh,
Then I guess it
hmm.
will not likely you won't have any protest in your college just because how risky it would be to do that.
Yeah, I don't know how these things go. There are definitely, I think, universities that are more politically driven. Although, did you know that Biden graduated from this college, like from this university?
That's news to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but wouldn't that? How old is that college then?
It's a
Biden is an old guy.
Yeah, this is a state university. I think another thing is going to surprise you right now. Do you know how old America is as a country? Like when it got its independence?
I do not know.
Try to guess.
200 years, maybe. I don't,
200 years. You would be wrong. It got its independence in 1776.
so 250 years almost, I guess.
Yeah. Uh, and that's an absurdly a lot of time like compared to our country, which relatively feels so new.
We got like 50 years from now, right? About 50 years.
Uh, I think like this university was found in 1943. Sorry, 1743, not 19,
Oh,
1743.
1743.
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot,
that's really old.
a lot of universities यहाँ पे बहुत पुरानी है. Yeah.
मैं जिस कॉलेज में गया था वो तो अभी अभी का था 2000s में बना था आई थिंक
हाँ, I guess. इंडिया की भी पुरानी हो जाएंगी धीरे धीरे, चिंता मत करो तू. Uh, I'll just uh, another podcast that I've recently been listening to. मैंने उसके 7-8 episodes सुने. It's funny. It's fun. My dad wrote a porno.
uh-huh.
Guess what it's about?
It's about the porno his dad wrote.
Yeah. So like this guy, his dad wrote a pornographic novel, and this guy gets together with two of his friends and reads one chapter each episode together. And it's a really funny podcast.
it even in concept it sounds incredibly funny.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's an old podcast. बहुत पहले खत्म हो चुकी है, but it apparently it was really popular when it was running. Uh,
Like, was the porno even a good seller like the one his dad wrote, or it
I'm
was it like
assuming because of the podcast it would have been, not otherwise. I they're able to make fun of it because of how corny it is. I mean, yeah, it's really funny. Uh, do you know who Conan O'Brien is?
no?
He was a talk show host, a really popular talk show host, and he's a really funny guy. Uh, really would like to watch him on screen. He actually hosted the Oscars this year. Uh, he after his talk show ended during the pandemic, he moved on from that and he started a podcast. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. In each episode, he calls these celebrities and sometimes his fans, and they talk. It's a great podcast. Another podcast. I haven't listened to this in a long time. I used to listen to it. It's also sort of a funny podcast. The if it's called If Books Could Kill.
You have talked about it.
Yeah. So it's just two hosts shitting on self-help books.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Hmm. Uh, I guess one final podcast I will talk about is Dear Hank and John that I listen to. Do you know who these people are, Hank Green and John Green? Do you know what Crash
No.
Course is?
I know in concept what a crash course is,
Do you
but
know
I
of the
don't know if I've done.
YouTube channel Crash Course?
No.
You must have come across it at some point. Uh, Basically, it's these really weirdly successful brothers, John Green and Hank Green. Uh, John Green is a writer of young adult fiction. He wrote one of the books he wrote was A Fault in Our Stars. Uh, and Hank Green is popular for making a lot of educational content like Crash Course वगैरह. And they do a podcast together, and these people also do a lot of charity work. They run a bunch of companies that function just for charity. So I completely not. But I feel that I told you that I've recently been feeling more inclined towards social work वगैरह, even though I've never done that. Just feel an inclination. I think this podcast might have a role to play in that listening to this podcast.
What kind of charity work did they do?
Uh, uh, you can Google, they have this store, like, which they have a bunch of stores which they recently combined into one store in a website called good.store. उसमें I think they sell coffee, socks, and tea and stuff like that, and they donate all the profits to charity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you said you were uh, feeling inclined to do charity work for queer people.
I mean, that's what I have been looking into recently. I'm planning to uh, send some emails this Monday to some NGOs for volunteering. I'll see how that goes.
What I don't actually know like what kind of work are you referring to
I
exactly?
have no idea either.
Like, mm,
I'll have to see. Like, it's a weird feeling because everything I felt like doing until now. I don't know if I said this to you before. But everything I felt like doing until now has been a very self driven endeavor. Like, even from the desire to make films and to the even the desire to conduct research, वगैरह. It's a weird feeling to feel for the first time to like mm, wanting to do something exclusively for that purpose.
let me know if you get any follow up.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how it will go.
I'll definitely let you know. I think that's all the podcasts I've been listening to mostly. Yeah. Oh, I forgot one. That guy after Let's Write a Boss ended, he started another podcast with another YouTuber called Versus Wolves. उसका भी idea मैंने चुरा लिया. These guys
Wait, what?
uh, recommend each other things to consume, and actually, like, the time I started listening to, like, yeah, like, yeah, there was also a Kendrick Lamar episode, this maybe, and I thought that would be cool to recommend to you too. I think one of the links in the documents is to that section in the podcast too, where they discuss it, because I felt that it might be interesting to look at a uh, white guy explaining his experience to a black guy. Yeah. Whew.
I well, I just realized that I never actually told in the podcast that I'll be starting work, I guess, basically from next week.
Yeah. Exciting times.
I am feeling anxious. That's a like one of those events which like uh, happen, like which alter your life in a great way. Like one of which is like going to college or something, right? कि तुम्हारा पूरा environment change हो जाता है, your daily routine completely change हो जाता है in that sense. Uh, I'm kind of not feeling pretty confident about it, because like when you go to college, the people at the college do not expect anything from you, right? Because you are on the receiving end. Okay, you
Hmm.
go to take the lectures, like not take the lectures, but like you're sitting down and just consuming जो भी lectures चल रहे
तुमने
हैं.
पे किया
Even
है
when you
उसके लिए.
study, yes, but in terms of doing some work at a company, I am the one who will be giving to the company, right? So I kind of have to like hold the responsibility to prove myself and like prove that I'm worth keeping.
Ah,
It's kind of a weird feeling.
yeah. I feel that it's one of those situations where, I mean, you naturally feel very uh, uptight about it before you, when you're just starting, and gradually as you're there, you realize the amount of wiggle space you have and get to relax.
I am even more stressed out because I did my internship and did not
Find
like
did
I
not find that wiggle space.
yes, because at the end they first of all did not keep me, and even throughout the internship they were quite like sketchy, like clear that they may or may not give me full employment. So there was this whole anxiety, like the anxiety the whole time कि क्या होने वाला फ्यूचर में. So that was like kind of have built a fear in me, uh, like that I have to prove myself when I go there. And
Hmm. Varun shits on his job,
what was
right?
yes, उसका उसका जॉब चल भी नहीं रहा है, जैसा कि उसने भी बताया है कि like he's trying to actively change his company, he's applying to other companies because जो उसको प्रोजेक्ट दिया है, पहली बात तो वो it's sort of like a learning project and not an actual thing in which he's contributing a lot, like from what he has told me.
Hmm. So, but like, why does a company hire when it doesn't absolutely need employees? Because like that sounds like that,
Like,
right? Like he's being given uh, hollow work just to keep him busy.
that's exactly what is happening there, and a lot of service-based company do that because they don't know कि वो उनको कौन सा कब प्रोजेक्ट मिलने वाला है, एंड दे यूज एम्प्लॉयज इन बल्क. जैसे कोई एक प्रोजेक्ट है जिसमें 100 एम्प्लॉयज की जरूरत है, then they have to have 100 employees free ready to put into that project. So they kind of use them as what can I say? Like हमारे दुकान में इतने ये अवेलेबल है, आओ हमारे दुकान से हमारे ये लेके चले जाओ यूज करने के लिए लेबर, दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग.
Hmm.
Because they cannot know कि उनको फ्यूचर में कौन से प्रोजेक्ट्स मिलने वाले हैं, so they have to have employees ready to put into that project. That's why they hire them before having any idea of what they will use them for.
Hmm.
And just because India में इतना cheap है ये चीज़ें they cannot do in America. You will never see anybody being benched in like developed countries.
Yeah, that's just so. Hmm. Yeah. Now, do you see yourself working from home a lot, or do
I
you not
don't know
know?
क्या होने वाला है.
Hmm. Would you like
We'll
that?
see. I won't like that. I'm going to be honest. I would like to be outside my home as much as I can.
Yeah, I can actually. feel you on that, but at the same time, is office the outside you want to be in?
Even in my internship, you remember that I used to go to office every day, even if I was not required to.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I like even if like I'm not in the office the whole time, I would just पता नहीं कैसे बताऊं मैं. I would like a change of
Fish.
environment,
Yeah,
kind of.
I can see that. People even pay for that, you know. That's absurd. But people pay for that.
It's going to be exciting. Let's see how it turns out.
हाँ, anxious exciting पे पहुंच गया 5 मिनट में.
Anxious and exciting.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. बड़ी मेरी एंजाइटी तो बढ़ती जा रही है धीरे धीरे.
What would be your like? What would you prefer, working in America or working in India, if given the choice?
I honestly don't give a fuck.
Like you have been to America for quite a while now. Where do you find living better?
I feel that I used to be more amused by the idea. When I was, I don't know. I haven't like really. I wouldn't say I've lived in typical idea of America. I've not lived in a city. I'm living in this student town, and uh, I don't know honestly. I don't think I have a preference right now. If I had to live in a foreign country, I would rather live in some other country. If
Do you have any holidays uh, in your course, during
अभी
your
निकला
course?
ना spring break.
And did you go anywhere? Like I was going to suggest you to like go to a trip maybe in
I mean,
the
it's fine. Like, yeah, I would love to do that. जिसके पैसे लगते हैं बहुत सारे.
पैसे तो लगते हैं.
I mean,
Like but
yeah.
once in a while, I don't think it should be a big issue.
I'm thinking that I'll explore New York a little when uh, I think I'm not sure if I would come back to India this summer, but if I do, uh, it probably uh, come from New York and I'll get I'll reserve some days, like 2 or 3 days to like roam around. Maybe I don't have to specifically go for that purpose. New,
Have you made any friends there?
uh, I not uh, whenever like the department people get together, like a bunch of get together जिसमें I take part. उसके अलावा I feel that uh, my social life feels fulfilled enough by uh, interacting with you guys online, but I don't really feel the need to go out of my way to socialize. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but you would agree that it's an uncomfortable thing to do, right? To make acquaintance with people. And
But like more often than not, it like happens kind of naturally if you go to the same place with the same people again and again.
I like also found that I like don't connect that much with people of my department. Okay, I I do interact sometimes. Like for example, few months ago uh, during my winter vacation, I had this uh, uh, woman from Korea over to like because I found out that she was interested in coffee like me too. So we uh, I was ordering some coffee. I asked her if she wants some coffee क्योंकि हम साथ में ऑर्डर करेंगे तो लाइक इट्स डिलीवरी फी नहीं लगेगी and so yeah I ordered for her too and then when she came we tried some coffees together. um, I don't remember where I was going with that, but I don't necessarily feel the desire to keep that up. Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah, it feels exhausting. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't need to go out of your way to social. I think if you find a good company, then that's fine. But if you don't find anybody who kind of matches with your, uh,
I don't agree with you on that, Uttu. Okay, I mean that's true for when you're in school or university, sure. Like when you're in a setting where you have roommates, if you हमेशा you're sitting with the same classmates. But as an adult, I think one of the I don't know most difficult things that people face is making new friends. क्योंकि most of the time they're not what happens in office is a very professional relationship. You don't uh, do anything outside that most of the time, and like you get what I'm saying. It's just a significant problem for a lot of people not being able to make friends as adults. That's why that's actually
I mean,
was one of my motivations for starting the film club in Indore. Like that is something I actively had in mind, like that it would be a nice space for adults to meet other adults. Like you
I
spend,
guess
uh,
I have never been to a setting like that जहाँ पे जैसे तू बोला कि वर्क के लिए जहाँ पे पर्टिकुलरली जाते हैं इवन इन माय इंटर्नशिप मेरे जो कलीग्स थे वो बहुत सारे मेरे कॉलेज के थे सो आई ऑलरेडी न्यू देम एंड वी वर ऑलरेडी friendly even before we started working there. So
mm,
like I did not had to go out of my way to socialize with them. We were all already friends. So I guess अभी जब मैं TCS में जाऊँगा वहाँ जाके I will have to deal with this thing you're talking about.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you. I guess one of the difficulties for a guy like you is going to be to like people are even for socializing. I think I'm not sure how it works at office, but I can totally imagine people inviting you for drinks. And you're like, I don't drink.
They invited me during my internship. I went with them, but I did not drink. That's how it went.
Yeah, like that's a hmm. Yeah, a lot of the times you have to look for these third places like clubs or something like that to actually find new people, I think. Uddu, are you gonna found a uh, board game club in Indore?
Board game club. I, I don't think I'm that invested in it to go out of my way to go to a club. I would
Hmm.
rather just play it online with you guys.
Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Do we have anything else for today?
Uh, I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, pretty slow day. It was a relaxing day. थोड़ा सा दुखी day. But yeah, तुझे पता है मेरे इतने सारे असाइनमेंट्स जो है मेरा सेमेस्टर चल रहा है अभी. Do you know what I'm worried about? कि इस आदमी को मैं 2 हफ्ते में मैजिक ट्रिक क्या दिखाऊंगा.
I mean, you can. You gave me a tall order about Kendrick Lamar, uh, and I don't think I will be able to complete it. वो जो अगला हमारा podcast है उसके पहले. So maybe like you can also take 2 months for it.
Yeah,
And
I think I'll have to because it's really difficult to get into an entire niche like that during a semester.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can take 2 months. I guess that would be fair.
yeah. Hmm.
Mm.
Let's end the podcast now. Bye, do.
Bye bye.